But I have to tell you, Marcy, if you ever get your tickets stamped fraudulent, go to the pit seats. So
that was the place to be.
That was the place to be. There was a lot of people our age. Let me say it that way. I visualized it something different, but
so super young.
Yes, super young, super energetic,
Yeah.
and I was literally like, from you and I away from Pink. So it was fantastic. And shout out to StubHub. They refunded our money, so it was fantastic.
Hey. Hello and welcome to the Inspired Woman Podcast. I'm Marcy Narum. This podcast is dedicated to impacting a multitude of women with its mission to celebrate, encourage, empower, educate, entertain, and connect women. Today, it is my pleasure to have Jeanne Masseth here with me. She's involved in the advisory board with Inspired Women. She's written a couple of times. Thank you for coming.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. What a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Marcy. And wow, I'm super thrilled that Inspired Woman is taking itself to the next level and really elevating itself. So thank you for all of your hard work.
Oh gosh, thank you. It's collaboration.
Yes.
So thanks to Nolan with Quantum Productions and a lot of other people. I mean, Amber kind of helped put this in motion, and it's a lot of wonderful women and other people making it happen. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, you're used to being behind the camera, but I'm like, I'm a podcast connoisseur. So I'm feeling a little bit like a rock star today. Like I'm on a podcast and video cast.
So what do you like to listen to? What are some of your favorites?
Oh my gosh. I like to listen to business-related podcasts. I like to listen to health and fitness-related podcasts. So the Model Health Show is one of my favorite. Tim Ferriss, who's been dubbed the Oprah of podcasting, is one of my most interesting to listen to. You're never quite certain what you're going to get when you chime into Tim Ferriss' show. But I love his as well, and Entree Leadership. So yeah, I've got about 5 tried and trues that I love.
Yeah. And when do you like to listen?
Pretty much right away in the morning, like when I'm getting ready, when I'm folding laundry, when I'm cooking, and just any time that I'm in the car. So it's a nice alternative to music, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Or television.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Exactly. Skip the news in the morning and just listen to a podcast. It's very relaxing and really centering for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tell me, we've known each other for a long time.
Yes, 2002, I think.
Right. The Bismarck Mandan Leadership.
Yes,
class,
you and I had a
right?
great time. That was a great class. We made some good friends and compadres.
Yeah, and learned so much about the Bismarck Mandan area.
Yes.
And it just continues to explode. But tell me a little bit about your profession and what it is that you do. It's remarkable work.
Oh gosh, well thank you, Marcy. I have worked in learning and development for over 20 years, which feels like a long time and yet is very, very short. So I've been a learner my whole life, and I didn't really understand that until I took the strengths assessment and found out that learner is one of my top 5 strengths. And so being in learning and development was just a natural for me. So I've spent some time in higher education, spent some time at a utilities organization working as a learning and development supervisor. And then about 5 years ago, launched Legacy Talent Development. So that is my dream job that I get to create and keep evolving almost on a daily basis, it feels like. But Legacy Talent Development really specializes in workplace mentoring programs, which I've had the good fortune of launching several, maybe 20 now, that it's just the power of formal mentors in the workplace, and the power of having a mentee is beyond words. The most interesting thing I think about mentoring is that the mentor learns as much as the mentee, which is oftentimes what mentors say they're most surprised about.
Right.
We also work collaboratively and also with a number of organizations in terms of peer advisory boards. So having a sounding board, if you can imagine having your own personal board of advisors, people who support you, and you can come to them in a confidential setting in terms of bouncing your business ideas off of them, and also brainstorming solutions to business challenges that you're having. It's pretty incredible.
And you were just telling me before we started about one of your peer advisory boards and kind of the wins that you see in that group.
Yes, it's fantastic. So, as most peer advisory boards go, we are a close-knit group, and the wins, I would say, are range in terms of having that trusted circle that you can, again, bounce business ideas off of. But some of the biggest wins are simply better decision making. I can, or any of the board members can bring their action plan, their opportunity that they're being faced with, and really walk away with some tangible ideas that they can take back to work the very next day, or even later that day. So it's pretty incredible. I wish everyone had the opportunity to be a part of a peer advisory board or have that close network that they can really trust to take their business to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does really make a difference. Yeah,
yes,
for sure. And it must be rewarding for you to have that be your career.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Yes. Well, yeah, I have to say the members are the rock stars, and I just have the good fortune of leading the group. So, and leading multiple groups, but that particular group that we were talking about earlier is a group of high caliber, high achieving professionals who are already highly successful. Yeah. But the group has really elevated that and taking it to the next level. So the self-awareness, I think, is the really cool piece. Yeah. It's like becoming more aware of our own behavior and our own, sometimes what we do to sort of sabotage our own success on occasion, and how we can avoid that. So, and picking up great habits. Yeah. So it's fantastic. Very rewarding.
So tell me about your family.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am married to a rock star, Brian. So Brian and I have been married about 18 years now. And so we got married in 2000. So that was a nice round number. So hopefully neither one of us forget the years. So when we met, we went to the same high school, different years in school, but the same high school, same university, UND together, and just didn't ever cross paths until I was in graduate school, and we both moved back to the Bismarck-Mandan area. So yeah, he's an entrepreneur. I'm fortunate that we both have an entrepreneurial spirit and the entrepreneurial bug. So we lots of entrepreneur business talk in our household. But when we met, I loved carbs. I still do love carbs. Full disclosure, haven't met a bread I don't like. And I was pretty much a vegetarian, not because I had any beliefs against eating meat, just because I preferred Olive Garden breadsticks and salad. So
we should mention that Brian is the owner of one of the owners of Butcher Block.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Meats.
So he, we quickly turned that around. He said, "Oh, I'll make you dinner," and I'm like, "Okay, you're sort of in the dating phase at that point, Yeah. And he says, "I'm going to make you a boneless pork chop." I have no idea these even exist, right? Like, what is a boneless pork chop? But as he tells the story, I don't remember it this way, but as he would tell the story, he invited me over and had these gorgeous pork chops on the grill. And he said he turned around, put it on my plate and turned around, and I was gone. I had eaten it. I devoured it. And it was fantastic. So I'm a reformed vegetarian, if you want to say it that way. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And he's definitely the cook in our family.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
I think you scored a good one then.
Exactly.
And two beautiful kids, Carson and Emma.
Yes, the light of our lives, keep us young. Carson and they both are swimmers. Carson's in high school now, first year in high school, and Emma's still in grade school. So they're both the light of our lives. One, as with all siblings, they're complete opposites in many respects. So we've got one who's very conservative, very politically savvy. Recently got a letter from Donald Trump because he wrote him a note, and he's not competitive at all, although he swims high school swimming. So that's fun to watch him And then we've got one who's highly competitive. So she gets in the water and she's just looking around. What's everybody else doing? What's the person in the lane beside me doing? And how are they swimming? And I'm dang well going to try to beat them. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And every phase of their lives has just been so rewarding and very fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
So we're one of those couples who worked really hard to get our kids here,
Yeah.
I always love and marvel at the parents who we have 3 kids and they're each spaced 2 years apart. Oh my gosh, that is not our path. But at any rate, it's been a good journey.
Yeah. And Emma has an interesting story.
Yes.
Just in terms of how she got here and how she became part of your family. Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. So Emma was adopted. We were lucky enough to be matched with a birth mother in Arizona. And so I still remember the day clearly that I got the call. And we, had found out that we were matched and got some background on her. And she's just, the light of our lives, of course. But the adoption process was, as emotional it was looking back on it, it was a lot of fun. There were some really cool turning points in terms of being able to anticipate her arrival, be there when she was born, and patiently awaiting the whole process, in the hospital, getting to meet her birth mother and getting to meet the extended family was just an incredible gift. Wow. And I still the hair on my arms raises when I talk about it. But her, a lot of people say, or I've heard people say, that's so nice of you. So nice of you to adopt, or it was good of you, or she's very fortunate. And I am the recipient. We are the recipients of somebody who made a crucial and life-altering decision and really put the betterment of their child before their own needs. Mm-hmm. And so we're on the receiving end of that. One of the most fun memories that I have is, this is a very long and anticipated process. You're in the hospital, you're waiting for all this paperwork to go through and lots of emotions. But when it was finally signed and we finally got to leave the hospital with Emma, it was our first time actually taking her on our own. We both, Brian and I, vividly remember the first set of doors to the hospital, and then the second set, it was just run to the car. We've got her. If they say our names, do not look back. Just somebody take the baby and go to the car. So it was pretty incredible. And then we had to stay in the Phoenix Glendale area a little while longer. Well, more paperwork went through and then brought her home. So It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Her background, she's half Hispanic and half Caucasian, but it's just interesting to see how our demographics have changed in Bismarck-Mandan.
Right.
Is that I was really concerned about how I was going to expose her to Hispanic community, to culture, to even the Spanish language, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember being in Walmart. She was 18 months old, and I remember being in Walmart and hearing someone speak Spanish in the aisle across from us, and I literally was creeping this family oh my gosh, somebody's speaking Spanish, let's go find them. So let's go befriend them. So that was fun, and of course now our demographics allow for that community to be here, and so it's fantastic.
Absolutely, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you guys like to travel a lot? Do you travel as a family, or you and Brian get away?
We travel as a family. We travel as a couple and with friends, and so it's really, travel is definitely one of my passions and one of my hobbies, just because I feel like there's so much more of the world that we don't see. I love North Dakota. I love being in the Bismarck area. I think it's fantastic for raising a family. We're very fortunate that both of our kids get to be very close to both of their grandparents and see them at least on a weekly basis. However, we're recording this on a day that, what's the temperature today, do you think? Negative
100 below. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
And we don't even
where your nose hairs stick, and it's just uncomfortable, unbearable.
And we just want to, get some sunshine, right?
Yeah.
So we love traveling to warm places and sunny places and beach places. So, Yeah.
And how many times do you get away? A couple times a year? Or,
Gosh, well, at least not enough.
Not enough,
Not
right.
nearly enough.
But there's some sand involved. And
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
good.
Wherever there's sand and beach and relaxation, that's a good place to be.
Something must, happen on these trips that just kind of make you go, oh, what?
Well, there's a lot of good stories and a lot of good destinations, of course. One of my favorite stories, of course, you and I are old enough to remember pre-internet days, right? Where the days where you just couldn't look up and you didn't have GPS. So it was me, the awful map reader with the big bifold, and Brian were like, where do we turn? Where do we go? So early in our marriage, we decided we would go to Daytona and check out the city and check out the Speedway. And I vividly remember making a reservation. I had not been to this hotel or resort before, and we were looking for it. And of course, it's late at night, and you've flown, and it's like, oh, where is this place? So I end up walking into a hotel that I think is in the vicinity, and asking for a name that wasn't the name on the sign outside.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, yes, this is the place. And so they sent us to our room. It's late at night. We crash. But the next morning, one of my most vivid memories is waking up on the, back in the day, we didn't sleep on a king size bed. So it was like, yay, 3 pillows on the bed, roll over. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something underneath the pillow. And Brian's like, is it a spider? Is it a tarantula? What is it? No, it was a pair of men's boxer shorts. So...
And they weren't Brian's.
They weren't Brian's. No, definitely not. Under the pillow. So that was very eye-opening. But so we only stayed there one night. But honestly, that's probably if that's the worst travel story you have, right? It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
But thank goodness for the internet and TripAdvisor and all of the people who post the actual pictures, right? Other than the marketing pictures that look fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, our favorite place is probably, we've been to lots of places in Florida. So that's definitely one of our favorites. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And concerts. I know you get to a lot of concerts.
Yeah. So live music has been sort of a great escape, right? You can go there and you don't have to think about anything else, right? And you're sort of in all of that energy. So it's hard to think about anything else other than the person who's performing and all the people around you are so energetic and love the same music. So you're oftentimes singing with them, right?
Yeah.
Making friends with the complete stranger in the seat next to you. So
You're good at that anyway. Making
Right.
friends with anybody.
oh gosh.
Can you list some of the concerts that you've been to?
Oh gosh, we've been to some really good ones over the years. Most recently on my bucket list was Pink. Fun
Yes.
story. I had been researching Pink and wanting to get to one of her shows on her last tour. And I literally, we booked a ticket. The only time we could make work last year was a Las Vegas trip. So we decided we would make this work and we were going to see Pink. And about 2 weeks later, someone says to me, hey, did you know Pink is going to be in Fargo? And I'm like, no, she's not. I've been a loyal fan following her for a long time. And literally that day it was announced that Pink is going to be in Fargo this year, 2019, May 4th. So we're going to Pink twice. So I'm pretty fortunate. But we had in Las Vegas, of course, the show was sold out. And we an interesting story about buying tickets, through secondary or through third parties is we bought StubHub tickets, and so tickets off of StubHub, and which we've done lots of times before. And I was just so thrilled to be at the T-Mobile Arena that day. We were standing outside, and gosh, tickets went and scanned. So they said, oh, go to this other out of the building, which should have been my first clue. But I'm just in La La Land. I was like, oh, I'm going to see Pink soon, whatever it takes to get these tickets, right? So we go to the will call, and ends up that the person they're not scanning. So the manager comes out, and he literally right in front of us takes our tickets and he stamps them fraudulent. So we're like, oh my gosh, what do we do now? Ironically, there's a big StubHub logo behind this person, like a sponsor of the T-Mobile Arena.
Uh-huh.
So that was pretty cool. And the fact that he said, well, the only tickets that I can get you right now that you could purchase is pit tickets, like in the pit, which I wasn't ever used to seeing, and I didn't know what that experience would be like. But I have to tell you, Marcy, if you ever get your tickets stamped fraudulent, go to the pit seats. So
That was the place to be.
that was the place to be. There was a lot of people our age. Let me say it that way. I visualized it something different, but
So super young.
yes, super young, super energetic,
Yeah.
and I was literally like, from you and I away from Pink. So it
Oh
was
my
fantastic.
gosh.
And shout out to
Wow.
StubHub. They refunded our money. So it was fantastic.
Hey.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So the bucket list for this year is Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks and Pink again. So yeah, every year I've got some concerts. Love live music.
Who am I thinking of? You got to see Def Leppard
Yes,
too, right?
yes.
Oh,
In a crazy twist of fate, we got to see them 2 nights in a row last summer. So
I need to hang out with you more because you get the good fortune.
how crazy how things happen. But yes, we
Yeah.
saw them at the Target Field and at the Fargo Center. So
Yes.
Fargo Dome rather. So that was a great show with Journey. Fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, you're with your peeps when you look around. Yeah, Def Leppard concert is definitely a whole. It's more our generation,
Yeah.
right?
It's the best music.
Right.
Yeah.
They just don't make it that way anymore.
Well, and you mentioned some of the things that you like to do on maybe not just on vacation, obviously, but you're a health. You're fit. You are like the picture of health.
Oh gosh,
Jeannie.
you're
Yes.
hilarious.
No, it's true.
Well, we all have our days, right? So we're all a work in progress, that's for sure. But it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago. I really was in a group of people that took to running and maybe wanted to start running. And so I just sort of thought I would join the crowd and start running myself, even though honestly, I worked out, but I didn't actually do any running. Like for me, my visualization of running is running the mile in gym class in high school. And that was like the only way to make time stand still is running the mile. Just please let it be over, God. And now, of course, fast forward to some really good running partners and accountability partners who get my butt out of bed for Saturday long runs and for during the week to run inside. So we run at the Family Wellness Center, and the joke is that we run in circles. We like to run, in circles. So I love the energy of races. So I'm trying to do 2 or 3 every year. This year we're signed up for the Las Vegas Rock and Roll Marathon, which will run the half.
Wow. Good for
So
you.
I'm really excited. Of course, it's the only race that closes the strip down on a Sunday. So we'll run about 4 or 5 p.m. depending on when they slot us.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll be interesting and fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
Is that out of your comfort zone at all?
Yes, yeah, it's out of my comfort zone to run a race I don't really want to make a good time on because of the sheer amount of people that run that. I don't know that I would do myself any justice by trying to set a new time record or anything. But just I've heard there's like people, Elvis is on every block, right? And just the people that come out for that is pretty high energy. So
I bet.
yeah, and running in the evening is totally out of my comfort zone. So we'll see. But it'll be a great time.
Yeah. Well, and considering, the good fortune that you have, there's evidence here.
There's a trail.
You're going to have to maybe play a slot or something or a hand.
Yes, I'll do that. I'll take any Super Bowl bets or baseball bets or whatever that you want to place with me.
Let's go back to talking about the work that you do, because it sounds like to me you embrace challenges and you get out of your comfort zone.
For better or worse, right? I'm not sure if that's smart or not that wise, but I think I was born to be an entrepreneur. I think I was wired that way. My mom was an entrepreneur. My dad had an entrepreneurial spirit. And so it's just sort of been inbred with us. So I love the idea of kind of creating your own destiny and blazing your own trail. I think there's something very exciting about that. Intimidating, and days where you're like, oh gosh, do I know what I'm doing? Did I choose the right path, right? But more days where it's, gosh, I'm in the zone. I'm in my lane.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
your mom your mentor, or did you have other mentors?
Gosh, so growing up, my mom was a really good role model in many ways. She had children young and then went back to school, got her degree. My first day of school, first grade, and her first day of college happened to land on the same day.
Oh,
So that was really cool to watch as a child, to see like your mother taking like her own educational path
yeah.
after children. Most of us, do it before children, or hope to do it that way. But that was a cool thing to watch her build her confidence in terms of graduating from school, and then going on to eventually launch her own business. And so she built a business. She had a 16-year career as a bridal shop owner. And I think
I got my wedding dress there. I'm sorry, you were going to say that.
I was gonna say, I think you might know her. So she still is an extremely hard worker. So I have to say, I've got a lot of my work ethic, and just this idea, like yeah, there's a lot of hours, but it's fun, and it doesn't feel like work. It feels more like being of service and doing what you were supposed to be doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
And something I know about you too is that you have the gift of focus too.
Well, I try. Again, I feel like it's something that you find, or some of us find, when we are in our lane, in our zone. So that strength, I guess if you want to call it that, has served me well. And a lot of times, and sometimes I don't get distractions that I should get, and other times I can easily weed those out when I'm working.
You've mentioned strengths a couple of times, and you were the one who introduced me to Strengths 2.0 and finding out my top 5 strengths. Is that something that you implement in some of your training?
Gosh, I have a couple people that I know who are really fantastic strengths trainers, and they know the content inside and out. But it's definitely something I've subscribed to in my own life, just in terms of leveraging my strengths. And it's also, in terms of raising kids, right? So many of us, we get the report cards and we're like, oh, there's the C, or there's the D, or there's the not so good grade. And we focus on that. Of course, we want to graduate high school, right? We want our kids to graduate college or whatever. But at the same time, how do we really help our children leverage their strengths and build off of their strengths? It's been really a huge mindset shift for me over the years. Yeah. So I don't know anybody who hasn't gained something from taking that Strengths Finder. And you and I don't have any vested interest in Strengths Finder,
right?
So we're just plugging it for the knowledge and the empowerment that we get from leveraging our strengths.
Exactly, because I think it's even for, we've all been to a conference where they say, you write down 5 things that you're good at, and you sit there with a pencil. I'm not sure. Now write down 5 things that you are terrible at, and your pen can just fly.
Yes.
I can name 20.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It's kind of the concept.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Is there a philosophy, like words of wisdom, or anything that really guides you in your life?
With my work and working with peer advisory boards and formal mentoring programs, I have just always gravitated to Jim Rohn's quote, "You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with."
Yes.
And so that quote has struck me at my core and really helped me evaluate, who am I surrounding myself with, and how do I shift that in terms of my mentors, in terms of the people that I lean on for, whether it's business advice, sometimes it's parenting advice, right? Sometimes it's teenage advice, or whatever the case may be, spiritual guidance, and looking to not only lean on, but add value to the people that are in those circles. So it's really been instrumental for me.
Yeah. And a good point that, you're adding value to them. It is a give and take.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a two-way street for sure. Mm-hmm. And to come from that place of value is so empowering. I love hanging out with you. I love hanging out with the inspired women on the board. And it's like, how can I bring more value to them as professionals or as working mothers or whatever the case is?
Yeah. Well, I sure appreciate everything you've done. You've written for the magazine. You've been a wonderful mentor, an advisory board member. So appreciate everything that you've done. We like to wrap up with asking a question that relates to our tagline. She believed she could, so she did. How does that resonate in your life?
Gosh, so many levels, right? On family level, on a professional level, on a physical level, like running races.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I think of, like just believing it is half the battle, right? Just believing that it's possible and believing that we have the capability of taking on the challenge that's ahead of us. And sometimes that comes with a little bit of gray hair and a few wrinkles, although I'm sure you can't see any of mine. But on many levels, I think of it on the racing level. I think of it on the just building our family and how we have biological child, an adopted child, and figuring out how that can look for us. So yeah, it's all about belief and having the people around you that are going to support that.
Wonderful. Jeanne, I am so grateful that you took some time to share a little bit of your story with us today. You truly are an inspired woman.
Thank you, Marcy. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of Inspired Woman, and especially this video cast. This is incredible.
Absolutely. The Inspired Woman podcast is sponsored by Quantum Productions, the home of the award-winning director and cinematographer Nolan Johnson. He creates unique high-end video products throughout the Midwest. You can check him out at quantumprond.com.